Alright, today we're going to talk about probability samples. And the first one is the simple random sample, which we abbreviate to be SRS. And basically this means that every item in the sample, every item in the population, whether that be people or pigs or plants, has the same, every item of the population has an equal chance. So what I like to do is call this the pulling names out of a hat. So if I was going to choose somebody to do something, I would want them to basically, everyone had their name on the same sheet of paper, and I would pick two names out of the hat, and those people would be my volunteers, and so everyone had the same chance of being a volunteer. So let's do this, and we're going to start this with a random table generator, and let's say we're going to randomly pick 5 letters from the alphabet. So we're going to call A 01. Now you could have called it 00 if we had exactly 100, so we wouldn't have to go on. So I'm not going to go through all of them, but we need each one of them to be assigned 2 digits. So let's take a look at number, let's see, we're going to pick 5 of them. So let's pick line number, we'll go with line 136. So the first 2 numbers are 08. So what is the 8th letter of the alphabet? So my first pick was the letter H. Now if 8 comes up again, we won't use it. The next 2 numbers are 42. We didn't assign anything to the number 42, so I'm going to cross that out. So we go to the next 2 numbers, which is 14. And 14 is the letter N. The next number is 47, no good. Next number is 53, no good. 77, no good. And I know I said we would go through 5 of them, but you can kind of pick up the pattern. 37 and 72 and 87 and 44 and 75 and 59. And then the next number that would actually be available would have been 20, which would have been the letter U. So you understand the whole point of going through this, so we got through 3 of them. Once again, we are not going to repeat. Once H is picked, H is picked. It can't be picked again. Alright, a stratified random sample will be our next type of probability sample. This one is when we do it into groups first. So let's say we wanted to ask about the cafeteria food, but we wanted to get a good representation from everybody. So I would take the 9th graders and I'd randomly select 10 of the 9th graders, take the 10th graders, take 10 of them, take the 11th graders, select 10 of them, and take the 12th graders and select 10 of them. Now, this is not a simple random sample because not everyone has the same chances of being picked. The 12th graders, because there are less, have a greater chance to be picked. Where the freshmen, there's tons of freshmen, so they have a lower chance of being picked. So a stratified random sample breaks them up in some sort of group and then has it done from there. So it can be anything. It could be men. We'll pick 20 men and ask them, and we can pick 20 women. That's another example. The next one is called a cluster sample. A cluster sample is when you're already divided into groups, and then we're going to pick an entire group. So let's say that we want to do this with the cafeteria again, but instead of going around and trying to find 10 people, randomly. We're just going to pick 2 first period classes. So we're going to put all the first period classes in the hat, pick out 2 rooms, and ask everyone in room 210. And that's a cluster sample when you've already picked them. Another example is that if you wanted to find out about what we think about athletics, you can pick, out of all the sports teams, you can pick an entire team to ask the questions to. Now this saves on because they're already in a cluster. The last one is multi-stage, and that's where we kind of do the cluster and the stratified all together. That says multi-stage. I know it's sometimes my rating on here is not great. So when we get to the multi-stage, what we want to do is maybe, let's think about when we had homerooms. There was 9th grade homerooms, 10th grade homerooms, 11th grade homerooms, and 12th grade homerooms. So these are already divided up into our different strata because they're all in different grades, they're already done. And instead of picking some from each one, we're going to pick 1 homeroom, 1 homeroom, 1 homeroom, and 1 homeroom. And so we will get a representation of 9th, 10th, and 11th, and 12th graders. And we will also have the cluster because we picked the same homeroom, or 1 homeroom from each class. And that is probability samples.